The bottom of Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis, of course. Yeah, ubeprokim shoyel chulu. It's about 7-8 lines from the bottom. Got it? Ubeprokim shoyel.
Where's this not the first word on the line?
It's the last word on the line, actually. Almost the last. Ubeprokim shoyel. So we learned in the Mishnah about the halachas of the interruptions that a person is allowed to make when you're in the middle of the bracha of Kriya Shema, or when you're in between brachos of Kriya Shema, when you're in between paragraphs. So there was an argument between Rab Meir and Rab Yehuda. The Mishnah here, the Gemara here will discuss the opinion of Rab Meir. Because as we learned in the Mishnah, and Rashi pointed it out already in the Mishnah, Rab Meir says, Shoyel mipnei hakavid umeishiv. When it said umeishiv, the Mishnah didn't explain umeishiv what. And same thing when it said afterwards, Shoyel mipnei ayira umeishiv.
What is shoyel?
No, shoyel it explains. Shoyel, the Mishnah says, Shoyel mipnei hakavid. It spells out what the shoyel is. And
you initiate that.
Shoyel is saying shalom aleichem. The type of shoyel is to say shalom aleichem to somebody. But when you're in between, when you're beprokim, it's shoyel mipnei hakavid, and when you're be'emtza, it's more stringent. You only shoyel mipnei ayira. But when it comes to umeishiv, the Mishnah didn't explain. So the Gemara will explain right here. The what? The what?
You measure whatever you shoyel.
Lamazen, maybe. Lamazen, what the Gemara says. Meishiv machmas mai. So when it says in the Mishnah, Meishiv for what? Is it Kovid or Yira? It doesn't say. So if you're going to say the Pshat is, and here we're talking about Beina Prokim, right? If you're going to say regarding Beina Prokim, the Pshat is that he could answer Mipnei Kovid. So the Gemara says that can't be. Hash the Mishal Shoel, if the Mishnah is saying that Beina Prokim, you could say Shalom Aleichem to somebody Mipnei HaKavod. You could initiate Mipnei HaKavod Ahadurim Ibaya. Does it need to tell you that you could answer Mipnei HaKavod? It's obvious. If you could initiate, for sure you could respond. Ella, rather, what are we going to have to say? Shoyel Mipnei HaKavod. When the Mishnah says Shoyel Mipnei HaKavod, it's only initiating. You're allowed Mipnei HaKavod. But Umeishiv Shalom, when it comes to responding, so over here it's going to be more lenient. Meishiv Shalom L'chol Adam. You could respond to anybody, not only someone that you owe an honor to. So the Gemara continues. Let's see the next part of what the Mishnah says. Ube emtza. If you're in the middle of the bracha, shayel mipnei ayira, you could initiate and say shalom aleichem out of yira, umeishiv, and you could answer. And again, the Mishnah doesn't say what a meishiv is. So the Gemara asks the same question. Meishiv machmas mai. When it says answering for what? If it means that you could answer out of fear. So again, it's neat and point. You don't have to say this. If you could initiate and greet and say Shalom Aleichem out of fear, does it have to say that you could respond out of fear? Ella, we're going to have to say Mipnei HaKavod. That when it says Meishiv, what it means is that you could answer Mipnei HaKavod, not only Mipnei HaYira, but you could answer Mipnei HaKavod. That would be the pshat in. Am I making a play? Okay. That would be the answer to the pshat of Rab Meir's opinion. Frek the Gemara. If so, there's a big problem here. Hainu the Rabbi Yehuda. It's going to come out that this is exactly Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. That Nan, what did it say right after this in the Mishnah? Rabbi Yehuda Aimer. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Be'emtza shel mipnei ayira o meishiv mipnei hakavod." In the middle of the bracha, you could initiate mipnei ayira and answer for kavod. U beprokim shel mipnei hakavod o meishiv shalom l'chol adam. So Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda are saying what the bottom of Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis. Comes out that Rabbi Yehuda is saying the exact same thing as Rabbi Meir. So that can't be. And for the Gemara, chasuri mechsere, there are words missing in the Mishnah, as the Gemara does this many, many times. V'hachi ketani. And this is what it has to say in the Mishnah. Beprokim means beprokim is bein aprokim. Beprokim means in between. Be'emtza is in the middle. Correct. It is. Beprokim is more lenient than be'emtza. It is. Kokis tazan, yeah. Sagt the Gemara chasuri mechseri v'hachi ketani. we're missing words in the Mishnah, and this is what it should say. Beprakim, and now we start with Rav Meir's opinion. Beprakim, if you're in between, shayel mipnei hakovid, you can initiate and say Shalom Aleichem out of Kavod. Ve'ein tzarich laima shum meishiv. The Mishnah, you have to add those three words. Ve'ein tzarich laima, needless to say that you could respond for Kavod. Ube'emtza, if you're in the middle, Shalom mipnei hayireh, you could initiate if it's a case of yireh. Ve'ein tzarich laima shum meishiv, and for sure you could respond mipnei hayireh. Divrei Rab Meir. That's Rab Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, and Rabbi Yehuda says, "Be'emtza shel mipnei yireh." If you're in the middle of the bracha, so then you could initiate mipnei yireh. Umeishiv mipnei hakavod. If you're responding, you could even respond mipnei hakavod. Or beprakim, if you're in between, shel mipnei hakavod, you could initiate even for kavod. Umeishiv shalom l'chol adam, and there you could say shalom aleichem to anybody. That's the pshat in this machlokes of the Mishnah. Gemara brings a clear brayse that it said mamish exactly this, what we just said. So we know that this is the correct pshat in the Mishnah. Tanya nami.
Does Meishav also, if someone asks you a question, or it's only specifically Shalom?
It doesn't seem like it. It seems like Shalom, and even to stam greet Meishav Shalom l'chol adam, as we'll see soon. We'll see soon. The Gemara will.
This is just motioning.
Look. This is definitely not talking about stam speaking dvarim b'teilim in the middle of Birchas Kriya Shema and Kriya Shema.
Of nodding to something. It's not like giving.
No, but it does mean saying Shalom Aleichem. It does refer to saying Shalom Aleichem, but none of this is a heter for speaking dvarim b'teilim in the middle of davening. Stam pointless words. And another thing I would add is that this Gemara, this machlokes of Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, and we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, is the source to all the halachas and Shulchan Aruch that discuss when you could make a break for Kaddish, Kedusha, and Amen, and so on. And it's based on Kavod and Yireh. And there's actually an interesting discussion in the Rishonim, what category does Kaddish and Kedusha go into? What do you think? Does it go into the category of Yireh or Kavod? It's really both. There's an Indian of Yireh and the fact that when there's the Tzibur is saying Kaddish and Kedusha, and you should join them out of Yireh for Hashem to say it. And there's also a Kavod, to show honor to Hashem, to say Kaddish and Kedusha. So there's a machlokes Rishonim how to determine the breaks of Kaddish and Kedusha that you make based on this Indian of Kavod and Yireh. This is the source of it.
Depends if the person's Chas V'Shalom Chayil Mesuken, then it's Mipnei Yireh.
Okay. No. Okay. So the Gemara brings a brayse to support the pshat in the Mishnah. Tanya nami hachi hakayres shema upaga by rabbi gadol heimenu. He's saying Kriya Shema, and all of a sudden he meets his teacher, someone that's much greater than him. So what does he do? Beprakim, if you're in between, shayel mipnei hakavod ve'ein tzarich loy mashum meishav. So the Mishnah, the brayse clearly says the first opinion, Rav Meir's opinion. You answer out of honor, and ve'ein tzarich loyma, that you can respond out of honor. If you're in the middle, you could ask out of Yireh. But only out of Yireh. Only out of Yireh. That's the Rab Meir. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees and says, no, be'emtza shoyel, if you're initiating, so then that's only mipnei Yireh. Only if it's a case of fear. But if you're responding, mipnei hakavod, you could respond even a person that you owe honor. Or beprakim, if you're in between, shayel, you could initiate mipnei hakavod, or meishiv shalom l'chol adam, you could respond shalom to every individual. So we clearly see that this is the pshat in the Mishnah, as the brayse said. Now the Gemara is going to bring a shayla b'negei to making an interruption in davening b'negei to other cases. Now the Gemara actually does not go into other sections of davening, which is discussed in Shulchan Aruch. Not over here, the Gemara doesn't talk about it, but the Gemara goes to another case. Achai was an individual that would learn in front of Rab Chia, and he asked the question from Rab Chia as follows: B'halal u'b'megillah, in middle of saying Halal, and in middle of reading the Megillah, Ma'u sheyafsik. What is the halacha? Are you allowed to make a break in middle of Halal and Megillah? What is the connection between Halal and Megillah? Why dafka these two? Because you make a bracha before and after. So that's very good. That's a very good point. But there's another connection, as the Gemara will say now. Mi amrinan, do we say kavachaymer? This is a kavachaymer. Kriya Shema dayraisa paisik. When it comes to Kriya Shema, which is minatayre, we just said that you could make a break. Right, the two opinions of to what extent, but you could make a break. You could interrupt, that is. Halal de Rabbanon mibaya. Halal, which is only with the Rabbanon, and Megillah similarly is not minatayre. So needless to say that you can make a break.
But isn't Shema also the Rabbanon?
So that's a good point. So the Shagas Aryeh proves from this Gemara that not only the first pasuk of Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad is min haTorah, but the other parshas are also min haTorah, because the Gemara says Deiraisa.
How about Brachos?
Right, so Brachos Kriya Shema is takanat Deiraisa. So the Kal V'chaim of the Gemara is from Kriya Shema. Even the Deiraisa you can make a break. So for sure, Halal and Megillah.
According to the other opinion, how does it work?
It's a good shaila. I'm just telling you what I saw in the Shagasarya, that this is one of his rayas. It's a famous discussion, and which is based a lot on the previous summit we learned yesterday regarding the different sections of Kriya Shema, at what point you have to have kavanah or not. So right here he says, is l'chayra raya, that it refers to at least the first parsha of Kriya Shema.
You see how important it is to be Beishiv Shalom L'chaladam, that even though it's the Raisa, the Torah says you should stop and you can speak. Now, good answer.
Not l'chaladim. If you be'emtza, you don't have the heter l'chaladam. Bein aprakim. Bein aprakim to be meishiv l'chaladam. Absolutely.
Even though by Yishtabach over there it says that whoever speaks shouldn't go out to Melchama.
Correct. That's Stam speaking.
Right.
Correct. Oidum. What's the other side of this ibaya? Persumi nisa adif. The publicizing of the miracle that's in Halal when you're praising Hashem for a miracle on a Yom Tov. And Megillah, of course, which is Persumi Nisa, that's so powerful that if you interrupt and you take away from the Persumi Nisa, that's more important even than Kriya Shema Deiraisa. Amalei, so Rab Chia answered, Paisik ve'ein bekach klom. You could interrupt and there's no issue with this. It's more lenient than Kriya Shema. You could interrupt and it's not an issue. Omar Rabbe, so Rabbe said as follows regarding this shaila. Yomim sha'yachid goyme ben es halal. If it's days when the yachid says the entire halal, and both Rashi and Tosfos point out that yachid doesn't mean mamish an individual. Yachid over here is just as opposed to the halal that was said by the Korban Pesach in the Beis HaMikdash when the whole tzibur said it then together in that way. But yachid over here refers b'chlal, the days that we say full halal, so there's an obligation to say the halal and the full halal. So then ben perik leperik paisik, if you're in between the paragraphs, you're allowed to interrupt, but be'emtza perik, in the middle, ein a paisik. You're not allowed to interrupt. The yomim she'ena yachid goyim ben es halal, those days that we don't have the obligation to say full halal, like in Rosh Chodesh, where we only say half halal, afilu be'emtza perik paisik, so that even in the middle you're allowed to make a break. That's Rabbe's opinion. So there's an argument exactly what Rabbe means to say over here. Is Rabbe, when Rabbe says be'emtza perik and beina perik, is Rabbe basically saying that halal and the halal, we're talking here specifically about halal, is it just basically the same as Kriya Shema? Just like by Kriya Shema, whatever halachas you have regarding Kriya Shema, be'emtza and beina perik, apply that to halal as well. The way Rab Meir said it, the way Rab Yehuda said it. Others say no. What Rabbe is saying over here is when he says be'emtza perik ein a paisik, he means ein a paisik at all. It's even more chomer than Kriya Shema. And we don't right. Ein a paisik. Well, yira. I mean, if it's maybe for yira you could be paisik, but not b'nei kovid. It's more chomer than Kriya Shema. So he's sort of taking the tzad of presumi nisa odif. And he disagrees with Rab Chia, that it's more adif than Kriya Shema. That's the pshat in this. Another interesting thing that I want to point out before we go weiter is there's the famous discussion, and it's in the Geil Maisa B'Poyel, when you get to the minig on Rosh Chodesh, whether you make a bracha before halal on Rosh Chodesh. And so over here, the source of this whole inyan is our sugya right over here in Tosfos, because right over here we spoke about that there are days that yachid goymer ben es halal, and there are the days that a yachid is not goymer ben es halal, and then you're allowed to make a break. So this is the source where you see clearly in the Gemara that there's a big difference between the days when you say full halal and the days that you don't say full halal. The days that you don't say full halal, it's not a takana midrabanan. It's a minig ba'alma, as Tosfos over here explains. Now the big question is, could you make a bracha on a minig? And Tosfos brings over here a few sources that you don't make a bracha on a minig. And then Tosfos argues and says that Rabbeinu Tam argued and said, no, you could make a bracha on halal, even though it's a minig. This is the source of this inyan. No, it's not so pashut. Not so pashut. This is a alta machlekes which adayei mezeh people argue about. In Sefer HaMenhagim and in the minig b'poil that it says, even in the Siddur of the Alter Rebbe, is that you should not make the bracha, you should be yotze with the chazan, the bracha before and the bracha after. But B'Poil, the Rebbe's own anhaga was to make the bracha before and after, and the Rebbe spoke about it in a Fabrengen about it, that you to make the bracha yourself before and after, quietly before the chazan, right? But it's a machlekes which there's no, even when you get to the minig B'Poil, it's not fully resolved. Some do like this, some do like that, and the source is right over here in this Gemara and this Taisvis. Tak nicht machen, right? And then at the later years, yeah. Sagt die Gemara weiter. Eini, is this din true? V'harav bar Shva ikla legabei de Ravina. Rav bar Shva came and met Ravina. It was in the middle of Halal. V'yomim she'ena yachad goyim when it's a Halal hava. It was a time that you say only half Halal. V'lei pasikle, and he didn't make an interruption to say Shalom Aleichem to him. So you see that even when it's a day when you're saying only half Halal, you don't make an interruption. So the Gemara answers, Shani Rav Bar Shva do lechoshev alei de Ravina. No, Rav Bar Shva didn't have any chshivas. He wasn't going to say Shalom Aleichem to him. I mean, and a chanami, it's not a middle of Birchas Kriyishma, it's not a middle of full Halal, but it doesn't matter. A person is saying a kapitel till him even, and someone walks by, you have to say Shalom Aleichem to everybody. So from here we see that obviously you don't make interruptions in the middle of davening with Dvarim B'Teilim and things like that. Right? So that's why it's not a raya from that incident. There was a fellow by the name of Atana, by the name of Oshyon, that would learn in front of Ravami. So he asked the question, Merabami, Hashori b'tainus, a person that's fasting. Taisva says that this refers specifically to a person that accepted upon himself his own personal fast. Ma'o sheyite, is he allowed to taste food? And again over here there's an argument exactly what tasting means. Taisa says it means tasting and spitting out. Others disagree, but Taisa says it's tasting and spitting out. Achilo shtiya kabal alei. Do we say that he accepted upon himself to fast? That only means eating and drinking. V'aleka, and when he's tasting and spitting it out, he's not eating and drinking. Or perhaps hana kabal alei. Really his intention, the meaning of his acceptance of a fast is not a derived benefit of the food. V'ha'ike. And when you taste the food, he is deriving benefit. Amalei, so the Gemara answered, so Rab Ami answered him, Toyim vein bekach klum. He could taste, and it doesn't matter. It's not an interruption to his fast. Tanya Nami Yochi, we learned as well in a Brais, Matemes eina tu'una brachos. Similar halacha, matemes refers to a person that's cooking in the kitchen, and you're tasting to see if the food is spiced properly. So when you're tasting the food and you spit it out, eina tu'una bracha. You don't need a bracha. V'ashari b'tainis, and someone that's fasting, toyim ve'ein bekach klum. You can taste, and if you're spitting it out, and ve'ein bekach klum, it doesn't matter. So we see clearly in the Brachos of this idea. Now the Gemara asks, at kama, how much? How much could a person taste, and it doesn't matter? Rav Ami v'Rabasi, Tomi, if they accepted a fast, they would be toyim at shir reviyasa, until the shir of a reviyas. So there's actually a machlokes when it says here this shir of revius, what it refers to. If it's talking about spitting out, then it doesn't refer to the bracha, because a person could be tayyim much more than a revius, and you're not mechuyev to make a bracha. You're only mechuyev to make a bracha if you swallow. So according to that pshat, the shir of revius only refers to a fast. If a person accepted a fast upon himself, so then there's the shir of revius that you're allowed to take into your mouth and spit out. But more than a revius, even to spit out, you're not allowed to. But if the pshat in the Gemara over here of toyim means to taste and to swallow, so then the shir revius refers even to the bracha, that you can taste and swallow as long as it's less of a revius without a bracha. But of course we don't paskin that way. Okay.
You're allowed to have tainis yochid to watch your mouth.
Yes, but it says a tainis yachid, when a person a yachid is makabel upon himself. Yeah, that's what it's talking about here.
Doesn't the lashon by the Gemara that gab a bracha the sheina asal adam sheina mena elam belay bracha. That's lashon. And over here it says ana iket.
You mean that it says yana, that it says there, but it means the nana of food, the nana of achila. We don't make a bracha on nana. Right, we make a bracha on nana. There's a bracha on, good, but stam nana, there are specific hanas. Over there when it says nana, it means the specific hana of achila. Has to be hana of achila. Dr. Gemara Vayta Marav, Kol HaNoisen Shalom Lachaveiroi, Koidim Shi Yispalo. Person that greets his friend and says shalom to him before he davens, Kilo Ase Bama. It's as if he's turned this person into a Bama, he's serving this person on a Bama, outside of the Beis HaMikdash. Shenema chidlu lechem in adam, let go from this person, asheneshama ba'apay, his soul is in his nostrils, ki bameh nechshavu. What importance does he have? Al tikri bameh, don't read bameh, because the pasuk should have said mana, what's bameh? So don't read it bameh, el bama, that you're turning this person into a bama. So how do we know that this pasuk refers to before davening? Where do we see it refers to before davening? So in my Marim and Chassidus it says, because it says Neshama Ba'apoy. Before davening, the Eibusha gives a person back his soul in the morning, but it's still Ba'apoy. It's only there in his nostril, so to speak. It wasn't yet mispashit in the rest of his body. After a person davens, he brings his Neshama into his entire body. So this person is before davening. Kaidim Sheispala, yeah, but in the Pasuk, I'm just saying, in the Pasuk it doesn't say. Weiter, another Pshat the Gemara here says, Shmuel Omar, you don't have to change the reading of the pasuk. Bameh, you can read it the way it says. Bameh chashavte lezev v'leil elakah. What chshivas are you giving to this person and not to the Eibishter? So the pshat of the pasuk is clear and simple. And by the way, it's, as it says in the halacha, and I believe Rabbeinu Yaina says it here, that this is only if you say Shalom Aleichem, because Shalom is one of the names of Hashem. But if you say good morning, or the lashon that he says is Tzafra Tova, you're allowed. It's only specific. Gemara here clearly says Neisun Shalom. It's not Chashivas. Shalom is one of the names of the Eibishter. So you're referring to him with a name which is connected to the Eibishter. But Tzafra Tova, you don't have to be that rude in the morning. If someone meets you just walk past them. You can say Tzafra Tova, but not Shalom Aleichem. The Gemara here will now give another qualification to this. Let's see. Masav Rav Sheishes. Rav Sheishes asked the question we learned in the Mishnah. V'prakim Shalom Mipnei HaKavod. In between, you could ask, you can greet someone Mipnei HaKavod. Umeishiv, and you could also respond. So you see here that you could, and this is in Brachos Kriyas Shema, before you Shmei Nesra. So it's before the main part of Tefillah, and you can greet a person and even respond. And then respond as well. When it said before that you shouldn't greet a person before davening, it's if you're making the initiative to go find him and greet him where he is, going out of the way to greet him at his home, whatever, or wherever he is, that's not allowed. That was the Isser. But if a person comes towards you and you say Shalom Aleichem to him, that's not a problem. Amar Avide bar Rav and Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Ashion, Adam lasis chafotzav kodim sheyispalel. A person may not tend to his own personal needs and his business or whatever it may be before davening. Shenemat tzedek lefonav yahalech v'yosem lederech pa'amav. So tzedek refers to davening, that a person comes and, as the Rashi says, is matzdik himself before Hashem when he davens. First you come and daven, and then v'yosem lederech pa'amav. You go to your ways, to your things. Amar Avide bar Rav and Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Ashion, kol hamispalel. So he touched the pasuk differently. Anyone that davens, and then after you finish davening, only then do you go out on your personal way. The pshat of v'yasem is not the person should place, but the Eibusha will do your things for you. Eibusha will take care of your things. You take care of turning to Hashem first, Hashem will take care of you. So then v'yasem, the Eibusha will put l'derech pamav that you'll go on the right path. It's a very interesting piece over here. Shivas yamim b'lei cholim, a person that sleeps 7 days b'lei cholim and doesn't have any dreams, nikra ra, is referred to as ra. Where do you see this from? Shenamar, the pasuk says, v'sova, a person that's satisfied, yolen, and he goes to sleep, bal yipokid, and he doesn't have, the Eibusha doesn't remember him. So ra, so he's ra. So what is the pshat in this? The Gemara teaches, Al tikri sova el sheva. 7 days without a dream is ra. What's the pshat? The Mefarshim say that the Eibusha communicates with people in dreams. And the Eibusha is being ma'ated a person to tshuva in dreams, whether he has a good dream, or even if it's not a good dream, but a person gets inspired and then from these dreams, and therefore the Eibusha is communicating with him. So therefore if he doesn't have a dream, he's nikra ra.
No, they say also that a person goes through a whole week and thinks that the Welt is Emerson Metzias, he doesn't realize that it's not a
It's all a dream.
It's
Saying
dream.
if he doesn't realize that the world is a dream. He said a different shot, and he connected it to the simple reading of the pasuk, which is Sova. A person that goes to sleep after satisfying himself of words of Torah, instead of reading the newspaper or anything else, going with that into bed. A person goes into bed after satisfying himself with Torah. Hashem does not give him any bad news in a dream. If he's satisfied with Torah and he goes to sleep with that, bal yipokid. Sagt the Gemara weiter. We learned in the Mishnah, Eloim ben aprakim v'chulu. So in the continuation of the Mishnah, there was an argument whether between Hashem Elokeichem, the conclusion of Kriyas Shema, and the bracha of emes v'yatziv, if you're allowed to make a break or not. And the Gemara brought the opinion of, what was it, Rab Meir? Or Rab Yehuda, actually. Rab Yehuda said that you shouldn't make a break between Hashem Elokeichem and emes v'yatziv. Amar Rab Avahu, Amar Rab Yechanan, halacha ke Rab Yehuda. The halacha remains like Rab Yehuda. The Amar, ben Elokeichem le'emes v'yatziv, lo yafsik. Amar Rab Avahu, Amar Rab Yechanan, my time of the Rab Yehuda, what is the reason, what's the source for the opinion of Rab Yehuda? Chsiv Hashem Elokim Emes. It's based on a pasuk in Yeshaya where it says Hashem Elokim is Emes. So we see that Ani Hashem Elokeichem should be put together with Emes. Frag the Gemara. Chayze v'oyme Emes or eina chayze v'oyme Emes. So after you said Hashem Elokeichem Emes, do you repeat the word Emes again when you start the bracha of Emes v'yatziv or not? So Rabbeinu Yonah says the reason you should repeat it is because you wait for the chazan, or could even be you made a break if you spoke in between. So then the question is if you should repeat emes again. Amar Rab Avahu, Amar Rab Yechanan, chayze v'omer emes. Yes, you do repeat and say emes again. Rabbi Amar, Rabbi said, eina chayze v'omer emes. You don't repeat emes again. Hahu the nochis kamei the Rabba. There was a shliach tzibur that went down, as we learned before in the Gemara. There's an Indian of going down when you daven for the Amud. He went to daven for the Amud in front of Rabba. Shami Rabba, the Omar emes terezimne. Rabba heard him saying emes twice. Omar Rabba, and Rabba responded to this. Rabba wasn't happy that he said emes twice, and he said, Kol emes v'emes taf silahai. This person has a fluency in saying emes twice. What's this?
Chazan says emes twice.
1 second. So Rabba was saying, why is he saying emes twice? So the Mefarshim say two things. First of all, they say that Rabba didn't hear what happened, because like you said, Shliach Tzibur does say Hashem Elokeichem emes to himself quietly, and then he repeats it again, Hashem Elokeichem emes. Rabba only heard him saying emes twice. He didn't hear him saying the full thing, so therefore he said emes taf selahai. Another pshat is, Beis Yosef says, this is the Gemara that's the source of the concept that the chazan should repeat Hashem Elokeichem emes to be mashlim the remachei varim of a person. Because the Kriya Shema has 245 words. This is the source from this Gemara. And he says that in the times of Rabba, the minig was to say 3 words before Kriya Shema. Keil Melech Neman. If you look in some Sidurim, not minig Chabad, they have Keil Melech Neman instead of saying Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes in the end. So that was Rabba's minig. So therefore he disapproved of the fact that he said emes twice.
They don't repeat twice? No?
I think they do, but you say I think it's when you daven b'yechidus. When you daven b'yechidus, and then but our minig is that when you daven b'yechidus, you repeat Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Or even if you're davening in a tzibur, by the way, and you weren't together with the tzibur, you weren't there in the section of Kriya Shema, b'shas the chazan said Hashem Elokeichem emes, you're supposed to repeat Ani Hashem Elokeichem.
I was thinking that the chazan have in mind he hates everybody when he says twice, and we don't say.
Avada. The chazan says it loud. Hashem Elokeichem.
The question is that people have in mind.
Hashem Elokeichem emes. The chazan saying it for the entire tzibur to be mighty. Everybody. It says when they get to these things that it's automatic. When a chazan goes to the amud, he knows he's davening for the tzibur. He doesn't have to have the specific kavanah. Amar Rav Yosef. Kameh ma'aliyah. So now the Gemara is going to return over here to the third parsha of Kriya Shema, which is Vayomer. And it's connected to Vayomer and the emes v'yatziv, so the Gemara will explain as follows. Amar Rav Yosef, Kama ma'alya hoshmaitase. How wonderful is this statement, or this halacha? The Chiyasar of Shmuel by Yehuda Omar, so he came and he said, he came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, and he said, Omri b'marave arvis, and he said that in Eretz Yisrael, when they daven ma'ariv, what do they say in Kriya Shema? They shorten the third parsha. They only say a small part of it. They say Daber, they begin it and they say Daber al b'nei Yisrael. Then they skip the rest. They go straight to the end. Daber al b'nei Yisrael v'amarta aleim. They begin it over there, and then they go straight to the end. Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes. Everything in between they skip, and the reason is because the rest in between is talking about the mitzvah of tzitzis, which is not a mitzvah at night. Okay, that's what they would do. Amalei Abaye, so Abaye said to him, my Malyus, why are you so impressed with this minig? I mean, the 30 seconds that you gain, what's the... Rav Kahana, and he says that that's not the way it's supposed to be done, because Rav Kahana said, Omar Rav, in the name of Rav, Lo Yaschel, that at night you shouldn't say the third parsha, because it's not the tzitzis is not the mitzvah at night. But Vim Hischel, if you did begin it, if you started, you say it during the day, so you had a habit, if you did begin it, then Geimer. So then you have to complete and say the whole thing. You don't say part of it. So what they did in Eretz Yisrael was not appropriate, because if you start, you're supposed to say the whole thing. Chi temes, and now he says, now you may answer to me. V'amarta aleim la'avaschala. When you start Vayvayim Hashem and you only get until V'amarta aleim, that's not called starting it, because you didn't get into the actual mitzvah of the parsha yet. So he says, no, that's not true. V'amar Rav Shmuel by Yitzchak Amarav, Daber b'nei Yisrael la'avaschala. If you only made a mistake and you got until Daber b'nei Yisrael, that's not considered that you started yet. But V'amarta aleim, once you say V'amarta aleim havaschala, that's considered to be that you started already. And he said before that in Eretz Yisrael they would go until V'amarta aleim. So why didn't they complete it? So Amar Rav Papa answers, we're going to have to say that in Eretz Yisrael they disagree with this statement of Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak. Kasavri b'marave in Eretz Yisrael they held V'amarta aleim namalei havaschala, that even when you get till V'amarta aleim, that's still not considered that you began it. And therefore they would say until V'amarta aleim, and they would go until the end of Ani Hashem Elokechem. Only if you begin the actual mitzvah, that's called that you began it already, and then you have to complete. So what's our minig? What do we do? Amar Abaye said, Hilkach ananas chuli maschalinon. We begin. We do say Vayemer Hashem until V'amarta aleim. The Kamaschali b'marava, because that's what they did in Eretz Yisrael. So we go until V'amarta aleim. But now the Kivin das Chalina. Once we go until V'amarta aleim, migmanami gamrina. We have to complete the rest also, because we hold that once you say V'amarta aleim, you're too far in that you have to continue the whole thing. So therefore, b'payil our minig is that we say the third parsha of Vayemer at night. The Homer of Kahana Marav, Lo Yaschel, you should not begin, but Vim Hischel Gaimer, once you began, you should complete it. Chiyeh Barav Omar. Chiyeh Barav said, Omar Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Tzarech Loimar Emes. If you say the third parsha of Shema, which concludes with Ani Hashem Elokeichem, then you say the bracha of Emes, which begins with Emes V'Amunah. Lo Yomar Ani Hashem Elokeichem, but if you did not say the third parsha of Shema, Ein Tzarech Loimar Emes. You don't say the bracha starting with emes. So the Gemara now asks the question, wait a minute. There's another reason why we say the third parsha of Shema, or the bracha after Kriya Shema. Besides tzitzis, there's a mitzvah of Schiras Yitzias Mitzrayim by day and by night. So you have Schiras Yitzias Mitzrayim either in the third parsha of Shema or in the bracha of Emes V'Amunah. But if you're not going to say either one, you're missing that. V'habaylat Kuri Yitzias Mitzrayim. You have to remember Yitzias Mitzrayim. So what does it mean that you can skip it altogether? And for the Gemara, no, even when he skips them both, you're going to say a shortened version to remember Yitzias Mitzrayim. The Amahachi, in such a case, he's going to say as follows: We thank you, Hashem, Shahaitzeisanim Eretz Mitzrayim, Upidisanim Ibeis Avodim, Vasisalon and Nisam Megvuris Alayam. You made miracles on the Yam, and Visharnalach, and we sang to you, and then you just continue into Micha Meicha Beilam Hashem, and you skip the whole long nusach of the bracha of Emes V'Amunah. It's very interesting. What's interesting to me over here is that, we had before in the Mishnah, if you remember, when you get to the Brachos, Makim she'amru laharech asa lekatzev. Chazal create a certain nusach which is barichis, you may not shorten it. And over here the Gemara is basically saying you have the option to shorten it. If you're not going to say the third parsha, you don't have to say Emes V'Amunah, and you say a shorter version. So you could shorten it. You do basically have an option. Shorten it. Why
don't you have to say Emes V'Amunah if you don't say the third parsha?
Because I guess Emes V'Amunah is concluding that point. If you started the theme of Yitzias Mitzrayim, so then you have to elaborate and conclude that point of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Otherwise, Kanir, the Pshara in the Gemara is, this itself is the Chatchila, the design of Chazal's Takana. It's not that you're shortening it. According to his opinion, this is the Chatchila, the design of the Takana, that you have an option. Say it long or short.
The last bracha is on Vayemer. So
correct. It's related to Vayemer. So if you don't say it, so...
You just say
what? Correct. So also there, there's an option. Chazal Chatchila designed it that way.
I thought you said when we learned that shortening means not being Messiah with a Baruch Hashem, or being Ma'arich meant being Messiah with Baruch Hashem.
No, that's not Rashi's pshat. I don't think I said that.
Okay.
I don't believe so. Yeah. Now we go to the next part of the Mishnah. Omer Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha Lama Kadma Parshas Shema. So the Mishnah discussed the order of the Parshas of Shema, Vayim Shemaya, and Vayomer. So the Mishnah gave a pshat that there's first Kabbalah Sel Malchus Shemayim, and then comes Kabbalah Sel Mitzvahs, and then the third Parsha of Vayomer. The Mishnah explained that over there, what did it say over there? That Vayomer is noyeg only by Yom, because it's the mitzvah of tzitzis, So therefore we leave that for last.
Even though you said that there's 6 things in mitzvah.
What's the 6 things? In the... huh?
6 actually. The Gemara said 6 things. That,
Right.
by the
So it has a big chshivas, the parsha of
There's big
Shema.
shivas in many
Okay, but still,
not
the
the
main
right.
theme of the parsha is tzitzis, which is noig bayayim. So now the Gemara is going to bring a different shot to this order. Tanya Rab Shimon ben Yechi Yomer. B'dinu sheyaktim shema levayim shemaya. It makes sense the fact that we say shema before vayim shemaya. Why? Shezel lilmoid. In the parsha of vayim shemaya, it says the mitzvah to learn Torah. It says v'dibar tabam. V'zel lilamid. And in the mitzvah, in the parsha of vayim shemaya, it says the mitzvah of teaching your children Torah, as it says l'madat ha'maisim es b'neichem. V'hayim shemaya levayomer. V'hayim shemaya comes before vayomer. Shezel lilmoid, because in v'hayim shemaya talks about teaching Torah, and v'zel asais. And in the last parasha Vayim, it talks about doing the mitzvahs. So that's the right order. Learn yourself, teach your children, and then do the mitzvahs. So the Gemara immediately asks on this. Wait a minute. Otu Shema lilmoid ispe lelamed velases lespe. In the parasha of Shema, it only talks about you learning yourself, but to teach Torah and to do the mitzvahs, it doesn't say. V'haksiv v'shinantam. It says to teach your children Torah, and then it says ukshartem, uchsaftem, which are 2 actions of a mitzvah. So what does this mean? V'su another question. V'hayim shemaya l'lamed hu de'ispe. V'hayim shemaya, it says to teach Torah, but v'lasa is lespe. Doesn't mention the mitzvah to do. V'aksiv ukshartem uchsaftem. There as well it says the mitzvah to do the mitzvahs. V'su another question. V'haya... Sorry, no, okay. Ella. So the Gemara answers. Ella, the answer is Hachikama. This is the statement. This is really what Rab Shimon ben Yechi said. B'dinu shetiktam shema levayim shemaya. It makes sense that Shema comes before vayim shemaya. Shezel lilmoid ulelamed vilasais, because in Shema you have all 3. There it says everything, to learn, to teach, and to do. And v'hayim shemaya levayomer, and then v'hayim shemaya comes before vayomer. Shezeh yeshba lelamed vilasais. There it talks about teaching Torah and doing the mitzvahs. And vayomer ein ba'alalasais bilvad. And vayomer only talks about doing the mitzvahs. So the Gemara asks, "V'teipiklei Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha." Why don't we explain the order the way it said it in the Mishnah, like Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha said? What was does Rabbi Shimon ben Yechi disagree with that reason? That he gives his own reason for the order? So the Gemara says no, he doesn't disagree. Chadavayit Ka'amar. He agrees to Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha's reason, and he's giving a second reason. Chada, one is like Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha said, "Kidei sheyikabel olav el malchus shemayim tchila va'achakach yikabel olav el mitzvahs." And now the second reason, because the first parsha has all 3 together of Lilmaid, Lalamed, Velases, and therefore it comes first. Now the Gemara is going to talk about another thing which is important in the order, which is the order of Kriya Shema and Tefillin. What do you do first? First Kriya Shema and then Tefillin? Or first you put on Tefillin and then you say Kriya Shema? So the Gemara brings the following incident. Rav Moshi Yodei V'kara Kriya Shema. Rav in the morning washed his hands and said Kriya Shema, and then after that v'anach tefillin. After saying Kriya Shema, he put on his tefillin. So as Rashi here says, this happened one time, and the Gemara will in the conclusion explain exactly what happened. So it happened this way, and then v'tzoli or matzli, and then he davened. Frek the Gemara v'heichi ovid hachi. How did Rav do this? To first say Kriya Shema and then put on tefillin. Tanya, we learned in Abraisa the following din. Hachayfer kuch lemeis, a person that's digging a burial place, which is a kuch. Then they would bury in the wall, not on the ground. A person buries, is digging a burial for a person, for a meis, bekever potter. So he's potter to say Kriya Shema. What's the reason he's potter? Ha'isik b'mitzvah, patam min mitzvah. Right? We learned this before. Patam b'kriyah shema min atfilah, min atfilin, and mikol mitzvah ha'amuris b'teireh. He's pater of all the mitzvahs since he's in the middle of doing a mitzvah. Then the Brachos says, Higi azman kriyah shema, the time of kriyah shema arrived. Oiler, he has to go up. V'naitel yadav, and he should wash his hands. Maniach tefillin, he should put on tefillin. V'kaire kriyah shema mispal, and read kriyah shema and daven. So the Gemara immediately asks, Ha gufa kashya. The Brachos is contradicting itself. Reisha ma potter. In the Reisha you said he's totally potter. V'seifa chayiv, and in the Seifa it says that he has to go up and put on tefillin and read Kriya Shema and daven. And for the Gemara hole kashya, so that's not a question. Seifa betrei. The Seifa was talking about a case when there are 2 people that are there digging the grave, so therefore he's not fully leaving it alone. There's someone else that's continuing the work, so therefore he can go up and daven and they can switch off. V'reisha b'chad, and the reisha is dealing with a case where there's one individual alone, so in that case he may not let go of it.
One person can dig a grave.
Many
times you need a team anyway.
So you're right. L'chayri, you have a point. If you need the second individual, you might be right. I'm not sure what it says about that. If you need the second person, you might be right about that. Yeah, not sure. But this also connects to the machlekes regarding ha'isik b'mitzvah, patim and mitzvah. There's a machlekes taisus in the Ran. Does that apply in a case where it's impossible to do both together? And therefore, I'm in the middle of doing this, I shouldn't do the other one because you don't interrupt. If you can't do both. So if you're in the middle of doing one, you complete and do the other. Or the Ran holds, even if it's possible to do both, still, if you're in the middle of a mitzvah, you don't interrupt for another mitzvah, even though you can complete the other one afterwards. So over here in this Gemara, I'm not sure. I mean, it's connected to that, huh?
What's a classical case? So you see the mitzvah when you're davening, and when someone comes to tzedakah. So you can't stop a moment and give tzedakah? No, that's not a case of Isaac b'mitzvah patim and mitzvah. That's not the example the Gemara brings. The Gemara brings other cases of a person that's makabel pnei rabbi. I'm going to get to sukkah. Okay, let's go right in the Gemara. Makol mokem kashel Rav. The main reason we brought up this brayse is because what do you see here in this brayse? What's the order? First you put on tefillin, the brayse said, and then you say Kriya Shema. Not like Rav did. So the Gemara answers, Rav Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha svirila. We could say that Rav argues on this brayse and he follows the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. What's the connection to Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha? The Oma, he said, Oil malcha shamayim tchila. First accept upon yourself the yoke of heaven, v'acha kachal mitzvahs, and then comes mitzvah. So first say Kriya Shema, and then put on the tefillin. So the Gemara says, no, you can't compare to what Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha said. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. What was Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha speaking about when he said his statement? Lahaktem kriya lekriya. In the order of the two parshas. What should you read first? What should you read next? But kriya la'asiyah mishametlei. Did we ever see that Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha said that you should read Kriya Shema before you put on tefillin? Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha wasn't talking about that. So you can't bring a source from Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha to what Rav did. Besides that, the Gemara asks, V'su, even if you're going to say that is what Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha meant, but I see that Rav didn't hold of this. Mi savalek Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. Does Rav agree to Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha? V'ha'amar Rab Chia Barashi. Rab Chia Barashi said the following: Zimnin Sagin Avnekimna Kamei Rav. Many times I was there by Rav in the morning. Umaktim, he woke up early. Umashi Yode, and he washed his hands. Umevarech, and he made the bracha. Umasnul Pirkin, he would teach us Torah. Umarach Tefillin. Then he would put on tefillin, and v'hada kari Kriya Shema, and only following all of that he would say Kriya Shema. So you see that before Kriya Shema he put on tefillin, and before Kriya Shema he was already learning Torah. So if Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha says first accept Kabbalah Sel Malchus Shemayim, and then do mitzvahs, that should have been the first thing: Kriya Shema, then teach Torah, and then put on tefillin. So we see that Rav doesn't hold of this order. So now maybe you're going to argue and say no. This Rab Chia Barashi, this incident that he said here, this order, the way Rav did things, he was speaking about a time. Rav woke up so early, it was before Zman Kriya Shema. So what is he going to do? He's up early before Zman Kriya Shema, so he's going to teach Torah. Right? He's going to teach Torah, and then he's going to put on tefillin, and only after that he's going to say Kriya Shema. Imkain. If so, the Gemara says, "My asadase de Rab Chia Barashi." What was Rab Chia Barashi saying when Rab Chia Barashi saying, "I saw Rav that he taught Torah and put on tefillin before Kriya Shema"? What's the chiddush? I mean, it was a case that he couldn't say Kriya Shema first because it was too early. So it's obvious there would be no chiddush in what he said. Elamai Rab Chia Barashi was saying a chiddush. It was a time period where you could say Kriya Shema, and still he put on tefillin first. He learned Torah first, and only afterwards he said Kriya Shema. So you see clearly here that Rav himself did it in this order. Not like it said before, that first he said Kriya Shema and then Tefillin. So the Gemara says, no, this itself wouldn't be a raya. This itself, the problem we have over here, that l'chayre, the Eidus, the Ashadase, the Eidus of Rab Chia is not a Chiddush, that's not a question. La'afuke miman da'omar le'mishna ein tzarech levarech. There is a Chiddush in the testimony that he said that, if you remember, we had before in the Gemara that when you learn Mishnayos, you don't have to make Birchas HaTorah. And over here, he's telling you, Kamash Malon, the Afla Mishnah Nami tzarech levarech, because he was saying, Mevarech u'masni lam pirkin.
The chiddush would be that you have to make a Birchas HaTorah even before learning Mishnayos. That would be the chiddush. So from this story, there's really no raya, because it's possible that he Pashut got up early before Zman Kriya Shema. But the Gemara returns to our original question.
Rambam is considered like Mishnayos?
I'm not sure. 1 second. The Gemara returns to our original question. Mikol Mokim Kashya. The original question remains, what happened before? That Rav said Kriya Shema before Tefillin. What was the source of what Rav did? Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha is not a source. As we said before, Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha never said such a thing. So what was the source of Rav? So the Gemara says, this is not the way Rav usually did it. Kashya Rav, Shlucha hu the Avis. Rav had a shliach or a servant that would bring him his tefillin, and the shliach made a mistake and he didn't bring him his tefillin on time. He didn't have his tefillin. He brought him his tefillin late, and therefore the Zman Kriya Shema came. And he had to say Kriya Shema and then put on tefillin. So that was a one-time thing that happened because the shliach brought it to him late and Zman Kriya Shema was passing. Otherwise, you have to put on tefillin before Zman Kriya Shema. You have to put on tefillin and then say Kriya Shema. As we'll see the Hemshech in the Gemara in Mitzvah Shem tomorrow. It was passing, right? Yeah, that's what it's correct. Passing. To put on tefillin first and then Kriya Shema.
Today, right now, Zman Kriya Shema is about an hour, a little more. Ideally, do it with tefillin.
And then Kriya Shema. Okay, there's a big discussion about that. There's a very big discussion about that, and it's not so pashut. We'll see the Hemshech of the Gemara in Mitzvah Shem tomorrow. Or actually, when the shir is Matzah Shabbos.
9:15.
If whoever wants.